Mental Health Matters. Welcome to Mental Health Matters, a podcast where we have open, honest, and compassionate conversations about mental well-being. Whether you're navigating stress, anxiety, burnout, or simply looking to better understand yourself and others, this is a safe space for learning, reflection, and growth. Each episode dives into different aspects of mental health, personal stories, expert interviews, practical strategies, and everyday mental fitness tips. No topic is too small or too heavy, because your mental health truly matters. Let's break the stigma one conversation at a time. Disclaimer: the content shared on Mental Health Matters is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the guidance of a qualified mental health professional with any questions you may have regarding your mental well-being. If you are in crisis or need urgent help, please contact local mental health services or emergency numbers in your area.
Good morning all. A very warm welcome to all the viewers. And today we are going to discuss on a topic called mental health matters. I believe this impacts every human being. So we have a guest called Tanuja. Tanuja is a lawyer by degree and a psychologist and educator by profession. She is currently building her own education platform called Kabil, wherein she gives career guidance to students at school and college level. She has guided multiple students in 10th and 12th standard to choose the right stream and profession, and has helped students in college to gain meaningful internship. She is also currently working with government as a consultant to build career immersive curriculums for 40 plus government schools. The reason behind why she does what she does is because she believes that there is a very strong correlation between career clarity and mental health. She wants to improve students' mental well-being by tackling the biggest elephant in the room, and that is career clarity. So over to you, Tanuja. If I've fallen short in introducing you, please brief us on anything else you are doing.
Thank you, Rakesh. Thank you for having me here. And I'll just add on to what you mentioned as the last lines. There's a big connection between what career you're going to choose or what career you are in and your mental health. So because today's topic is mental health matters, and whatever I do in the education front is always going to be, the North Star is going to be, is your mental health getting better with it? In today's day and age, and not just today, always since the time I was born, I have seen that education is attributed to pressure, education and career is attributed to pressure, and a lot of people cannot find who they are, not in terms of just spiritually, but also very, very professional and academically. So whatever we are building at Kabil is all got to do with who you are, what your personality is, what kind of intelligence you possess, and then building and curating a profession for you so that your mental health is better because you are doing something so akin to your personality. So yes, that's what.
That was a great input. So to start with the first question, so basically the most important question is, why do you think mental health has become such an important topic of discussion in recent years? Why was it not there like 20 years before or 30 years before, when our parents were going through the same phase? So why was it not discussed, and why is it more importance in today's world? Yeah.
Interesting question. I feel that mental health, the concepts always existed, but they were not given any terminologies. Today also, as we speak, a lot of people do not particularly know what they are facing, because psychology as a subject is still evolving, and scientists and psychologists are still not able to figure out if we are feeling in this certain way, is this a norm or is this a problem? So today also it's still developing. So if we go back 60 years down the line, I think the concepts, the names were not evolved, which is why, because you can't name something, you don't know if you have it or not. So you would feel a certain way. So when people would say घबराहट हो रही है, मन में कुछ मुझे अजीब सा लग रहा है, these were symptoms of them feeling anxiety. Today's Gen Z would say, bro, I'm getting a panic attack. So so I think it's the name and the name and the tag was not given. Because you can't name something, you would deny its existence. I think that is the only difference. Otherwise, mental health has existed since the day this world was started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a nice one. Okay, so moving on, what does mental health mean to you, and why is it important to prioritize it?
Right. For me, okay. For first, why does mental health has to be a priority is what I will answer first. It needs to be a priority because you have two kinds of health in your body: physical health and mental health. Eventually, obviously, when people tap onto the higher needs, they have spiritual health as well. But let me talk about the first two primary healths, physical and mental. So when you are not taking care of your body, you're not exercising, you're eating unhealthy, you will end up having heart blockages, you'll end up having problems in your liver and problems in your kidney. Similarly, and it's not secondary, similarly in the same priority level, if you don't take care of how you're feeling, if somebody has said something to you, how do you feel about it? What does some of your childhood traumas make you feel? How did you feel back in the past? If you don't talk about it to somebody, I'm not saying to a therapist, anybody, your partner, your friends, or acknowledge it to you, what will happen is, much like you have liver failure and kidney failure, you will have certain problems in your mind. Now, that could be any disorder that psychologists today or Western psychologists today give name. But I am not going to any names. All I'm saying is that your mind will not function properly, much like your heart will not function properly if you have a lot of samosas every day. So, if you have so much samosas every day, your heart will have blockages. Similarly, if you're not taking care of what's going in your mind, who you are, how much you can take it, how much you cannot take it, you will eventually have certain problems. And those are tagged and those are named now as depression and anxiety and schizophrenia. I'm not going to get into all that. All I'm saying is that these healths are primary for our existence and we need to take care of it. And coming to your second question, what is it for me? I think sometimes I got to know about my mental health as a concept when I was studying psychology in my 11th grade. And my psychology teacher has given us very nice metaphor, which I don't forget at all. She said, if you don't wash utensils every day, what will happen is that you will end up with a large pile of dirty utensils after a couple of days and you would not want to touch it. It'll be worse than what it was on day one. Correct? We agree to that. Similarly, if we don't take care of what's going in our mind, for example, we repress our emotions. We don't talk about our emotions. We don't talk about what we must feel bad. We don't talk it out time and again. What will happen is will be a huge, ugly, dirty pile of emotions that will be cluttered in our brains and mind, and it will be worse to cater than when it was in day one. So it will be like an ugly pile of dirty utensils. So that's when I realized, okay, that's what mental health is, to take care of it every day.
Okay. So can I attribute this to your personal or professional experience that has driven you to focus
Yes.
on mental health?
Yes.
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah. You can go ahead.
Do you want to know any personal experience or
Yes. Yeah.
that has helped me?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a father who is very emotionally available. He has always taught me to be an emotionally intelligent person. So applying principles of psychology wasn't as hard as it gets for somebody. So okay, few examples which are in the positive front I'll give you. So I am engaged and I have a boyfriend, and we currently in our 10th year of a relationship. So maintaining, managing 10 years, since I started dating him when I was 18 to 20 years of age. I was at that age. And up until now, we're going to get married in the next winter. So the 10 whole years of relationship, building it, I think it is a huge achievement to get into when you have 10 happy years. It's all got to do with how you manage your emotions, how you manage the other person's emotions. When a fight happens and your inner child wants something, his inner child wants something, how do you cater to your inner child? How do you say that, okay, no, we are adults now, we have to move past beyond wanting gratified needs. You have to act like adults every day, and then you'll stay in love, not just fall in love, but stay in love and maintain that love for, a decade and decades to come. So every time I'm in a relationship, every day I'm in a relationship with my partner or with my closest of friends, I have to keep my gratifying, wanting inner child away to make sure that my partner, my friend, my parent wants something higher from me, because I am a mature adult right now. So I have to think from my prefrontal cortex and not, think from my past conditions. So every day, to maintain and have a good relationship in this adult world, I have to use several of the techniques of psychology and better mental health.
Okay. Okay, that was really a nice personal input. So, do you think mental health is also something like, burnout? Can you explain what burnout is and how it's different from, ordinary stress or tiredness?
Yes. Okay. It'll be okay. I will speak about burnout. Burnout is essentially when you work so hard that you don't have fuel in you anymore to go on. It'll be, for people who know me and who watches this podcast, it'll be hypocritical of me to preach about burnout, because I work to an extent that I sometimes get burnt out. I agree that's not good. So I'm not going to preach as to how to not get burnt out, but I know the concept really well. What happens is that your body is like a car. Your attention is like petrol. It is limited. It is not unlimited. You have to keep refueling your car to go ahead and ahead. Correct. Similarly, attention is a resource. You can only use it until a certain period. And then you have to refuel it. It gets over. How do you refuel it? You refuel it by rejuvenating. So now what happens is when people work so much to an extent that their attention gets over, they get burnt out. That's one scenario. I do that sometimes. Then I have to rejuvenate again in different ways to again refuel my car. And that's okay. But there are points of burnout that you can't come back from when you're doing work that you don't like doing at all. Till a certain level that you don't want to go ahead because the reinforcement you got was not good. Now, reinforcement is a very important concept in psychology. For example, can you tell me something that you're scared of? Anything?
Scared of, reptiles.
Okay.
Crawling reptiles.
So now, if we have to make you less scared of reptiles, what we have to do is that if a reptile is there behind you on your window, so you'll have to be okay with it. You might feel a lot of fear inside you when I tell you that there is one. But if you manage 2 minutes without moving and you say, okay, nothing will happen, I will not move, and the reptile goes away, what will happen is that you get a slight reinforcement that, okay, nothing happens when it is 2 centimeters away from you.
So what happens when it is on my body?
We will get there later. We will not come so soon. You will not throw your fear at you directly. But reinforcement is about facing your fear and telling your mind physically and in a muscle memory way that, listen, you're not going to be harmed. And And each time you do that, little by little, you get less and less scared until you'll be okay at a point. So that's called habit formation. So in burnout, when you constantly do work that you don't like, you're negatively reinforced. You're doing something that you don't like, you're like, oh my god, I don't want to do this, it sucks. You're again doing it, it sucks. You're again doing it, it sucks. So what you do is that you relate work with bad feelings. So after a point, what happens is that you're not just tired, which is in the first case, you're just tired. And you just, work, you chill, you have fun with your friends, you'll be fine. No. For you, it's like work is just bad feelings. I don't want to work anymore. That's when there comes a point where you can't come back from it. So my preaching is what I also practice, is that don't do work that you utterly hate, because you're going to reach a point you can't come back from. And then the third thing that I'll add is that when you rejuvenate from burnout, there are different kinds of rejuvenation. One is a mental break. It might be you are working, but you're still with your loved ones who are pampering you, giving you the food you love, you're laughing so much that your heart is full. So even if you're working around them a little bit, it still counts as mental rejuvenation. Some people might want to go for spiritual rejuvenation, they go for vipassanas. Some people want to get a lot of adrenaline, they go for adventure sports. So know what rejuvenation you want.
So as a thumb rule, do you think that people working in an area they don't like is the most common cause of burnout in today's fast-paced world, or there are some other where the burnout is happening? Or most common cause, yeah.
Correct. There are others as well. Why I talked about work is because it takes up 70% of our time in an everyday basis, because you have to be fun and you have to make your home run. What happens is that today, at least in the cities in India I am talking about, you are alone. You don't stay with your blood family. You're lucky if you have a set of friends that you have built around you. So if you work where you don't like, that doesn't lead to burnout. That's a lot of people do that. They do their 9 to 5. They do their 9 to 5. They come back home. They rejuvenate. They relax. They rest. They spend the money that they earned in a hard way, and they're fine. If you work excessively, de-stress yourself, deadlines after deadlines in something that you don't like, you're going to be burnt out. The second reason is that because you don't have a community around you. A man is a social being. We cannot stay without a community. It's and I have no shame to agree to that no matter how much of self-love I have, no matter how much of cocoon I want to be in with, my small family, a larger set of community is very necessary to breathe and live in this world. Because it takes a village not only to raise a child, but also to raise a human person in an adult world. You don't have so much in you to give, but everybody else will have little to give you. So we need to be in a community. So when people don't live in a community, they will hit a burnout real soon. Of the work situation as well. Sorry.
Specific?
Sorry.
Yeah. So, are there any certain professions or lifestyles more prone to burnout than others? And if so, why do you think that way?
I will not want to name any profession as such, particularly. Okay, this is a profession more prone to burnout, because I strongly believe that if you throw me in a batch of people in a room, we'll find people's personality similar to every kind of profession. So they just need to find which profession you're meant for. I'll talk about myself. I did law as a degree. I didn't do anything about law after that as a profession. I didn't work as a litigation lawyer. I didn't work in the courts. I didn't work in the law firm. I didn't work, nothing. Everything I did was related to people management. Everything. I can call everything under that. People management and innovation. law was just a small part of a whole people management thing. I didn't work anywhere there. That's because I understood that my personality is not similar to being a lawyer. If I would have done that, I would have been burnt out. But there are people and friends of mine who are doing great as a lawyer working in the legal sector. And they're not burnt out, they're enjoying it. So the point is that for some people that can be a burnout profession, some people it couldn't be. So the point is to find out who you are. Why am I emphasizing so much in the who you are factor is because when we are until 12th standard, etc., we are told either we are intelligent or not intelligent. The whole norm, the whole concept is flawed. I was introduced to Howard Gardner's several types of intelligence. It says you can be numerical intelligence, which is mistaken as to be a general intelligence in the whole Indian ecosystem. You're good at maths, stop intelligent, you're intelligent. That's not the thing. There is interpersonal intelligence, which means that you'll be great at people management, leadership level front. Intrapersonal intelligence, where you know about yourself a lot. I think that's the highest kind of intelligence, because you know yourself, you'll be able to customize your life as per you. Body kinesthetic intelligence, somebody who is a gymnast. Then you have spatial intelligence. People who are surgeons or people who are dancers, they know how to use their space. So what I'm trying to say is that if you know who you are, you'll be able to find out what profession is meant for you and what is not.
Okay. Yeah. So there is another dependent thing called recognizing the signs of a burnout. So the question on recognizing the signs is, how can someone distinguish between just having a rough week and actually experiencing burnout?
Okay. One thumb rule difference is that when you start feeling things physically. If you're just tired, you will be mentally tired, you will be exhausted, you will sleep for 8 hours, you'll have a good meal, you will be okay the next day. Versus, if you have started feeling pain in your head or stomach or leg or anywhere, that's one sign that it is related to burnout. If you can't think of any exercise you did which can soar your body, then you've just worked. It means that it's going to your body, and that's when you need to take a step back. Second, you need to differentiate between two kinds of stress: eustress and distress. Eustress is good stress. Both of us are working professionals. We know that we have responsibilities of work. We will have stress. We can't say no stress. But when you know there's a considerable handleable amount of stress that you have, you'll be like, okay, I'll be able to take care of it. You'll be able to control it. You're okay. The moment you feel like there are so many deadlines, there's so many bosses over me, there's so many stakeholders talking to me, you feel overwhelmed that this level of work, I can't handle it, and you start, crying or sobbing on a daily basis. You rant on a daily basis so much, you realize it's a burnout. But having said that, one thumb rule is when you start feeling things physical. That's
Okay. So, according to you, what do you think are the early signs of burnout that people should watch out for?
Okay. As I said, pain in your temple region, back headaches. Sometimes people get severe pangs in their stomach. Sometimes doctors mistake it as IBS, intestinal bowel syndrome. So whenever you go and you feel pain and you have unexplained pain in your body and doctors give you medicines thinking this is another physical syndrome, that is one sign. Second is that if you feel overwhelmed at work daily, on a daily basis, so you can feel overwhelmed 2 times a week, on a 5-day week, you can feel overwhelmed. But if you feel overwhelmed on a daily basis and you want to cry on a daily basis, you cry or not cry, it depends on person to person. But if you feel overwhelmed on a daily basis, then you are burning out. It means that when you are working, you have other things, right? You have office friends, you have so many other things, you can distract yourself. But if you are not able to do that in your daily basis, you're overwhelmed, then you are burning out. If you're losing a lot of hair, it means that you are stressed out so much that it's showing on your hair fall. That's a sign of burnout. And
Subtle signs of burnout that people often overlook or misinterpret.
yes. So
Okay.
Sometimes that depends on person to person. That this is now generic ones are over. The generic one was pain in different local regions. Will be skin rashes. Skin rashes doesn't only happen when you eat something that you're allergic to. It also happens when you're in a lifestyle that's allergic to you. So, right? Pimples, acne. Yeah, those would be a few things.
So, how can someone tell if a loved one is struggling with burnout, and how can they support them?
Yeah, it's actually much easier to for a third party to see, for a loved one to first find out the signs of a burnout, because the person who is facing this will always be in denial. Nee, I'm fine, I'm okay. When you see them that they're always coming back home stressed, I think that's the first sign. You have to do no job where you're always coming home stressed, because you're here to live. You're doing work. You might love your work, but you're still doing the work because you're here to live. If you didn't exist, you don't have to do any work. So if you're coming home every day tired, not tired, but stressed, angry, scared, fatigued, that's a pre-sign that burnout will happen if it's not happened yet. Because people don't get burnt out because of the work. As I said, people do 9 to 5 in India a lot. They do work that they don't like, they go back home, they enjoy with their family, they go on vacations, they're fine. That's a lifestyle people live, and a lot of people would sort of sponsor that lifestyle, saying, this is giving us a great life. I got my daughter married off, I got my son married off with that kind of a lifestyle. So that's not I'm saying, okay, only do passion. No. I'm just saying when you do anything, things even you like, you come back home with so much of fatigue and, you have fear in your heart about something. That's the first sign. Then the second, third signs will be physical body pain, not able to give time to your family, snapping at each other all the time.
Are there any tools or resources that can help people self-assess their mental health or stress levels?
There are certain tools in the internet. If you type out a psychometric test, they will be able to assess themselves. From the career point of view, Kabul has our own psychometric test, where we build a psychometric test to understand what is your emotional quotient currently. What are you feeling currently? Are you adequately feeling enough and satisfied at your workplace? So we have built our own psychometric test, which is a combination, which is rare, and it's a combination of emotions and combination of your professional health. So we do that. There's also an organization called Mind Peers, who has built their own psychometric test, I feel. Understanding what kind of mental health level you are at, be it in terms of depression or be in terms of burnout. So there are certain kinds of tools that you can check. However, these are the basic ones. These are basic ones, and any tool will just have these questions. Are you feeling any headache? Are you feeling any stress lately, daily? But if the person is in denial all the time, then the answers will be wrong anyway.
So moving on to another section of mental health matters. So, are there any strategies for managing stress, or what are some practical strategies for managing daily stress before it escalates to burnout?
Uh, these are few things that I actually tell myself daily. Not saying that I am able to do it, but I want to do this for myself to manage stress. So now I'm going to keep this point aside, that you have to do something that you like. I'm not going to endorse this in this particular question anymore, because even if you do something that you like, you might get burnt out or stressed. So first thing is, I think, exercise. For sure, that's something I am not able to do, but I also want to tell myself and others, because of the rush of emotions that it releases when you exercise. Yeah, happy hormones get released, dopamine gets released. So when you are upset or depressed, eventually therapists or psychiatrists suggest medicines to you which increase your dopamine. If you can do that on a daily basis in an organic way, then you should, and your dopamine will be as equal. So one is exercise, because it releases dopamine. It could be any exercise that you like. It could be playing sports if you are a sportsy person. It could be hitting the gym, but depends on what akins to your personality. Second will be having a good set of real friends around. That's a real hack to life. I feel it's hard. I'm not talking about society in general, but if you have 3-4 friends also, no, it could be in your own hometown, it could be in a city that you live, but if you have 3-4 or 2 to 3 genuine friends who genuinely care for you, you will be sorted, you will be okay, because they will want to say, okay, let's have chai and come, okay, they'll drag you out of home, they will take you to watch a movie, they'll crack stupid jokes which don't make sense to anybody but make sense to you. It's the biggest wealth people can have, to have 2-3 set of good friends.
I think I can correlate with your first suggestion on doing exercise, because I had gone through a similar situation or a scenario wherein in a company where I was working, it was the promotion cycle or the promotion evaluation cycle, and the management did not want to promote me, so they kind of used a tactics of saying that someone has complained about you, saying that your communication is not great, and I was like kind of feeling depressed, saying, I mean, why could anyone do that? And I felt so low that day that I just went home. In the second half of the day, I was staying away from my family, so my family was not with me, and then I just slept off for a couple of hours. But my depression level started increasing, and then when I was sharing a flat with my office colleagues. So he came and he said, and go to the gym to exercise. So, and we both went to the gym, and then after doing a couple of hours of exercise, the depression was shot dead. So yeah, I think I would kind of agree with your suggestion of
Rakesh, your voice went off.
It's going down? Okay. Okay, I think I'll move on to the next question.
Yes.
Can you explain how mindfulness works and how someone new to it can get started?
Okay. Things that I'm not, if you may allow me to skip this question, because I'm not great at practicing this, so I'm not an expert. on this.
Okay, I think then the next question was on physical activity in managing stress, and we both agree that that is one of the main aspects of de-stressing. And
Yes.
yeah, okay. So what role do diet and sleep play in maintaining mental health, and how can we build healthier habits?
Right. Uh, so exercise we've already mentioned. With regards to diet, I feel okay. I'm going to talk about what I do here. When you eat more oily food, when you eat food which is fried, you might get a spike of happiness at that point. I'm not denying that. People do that, and I also do that. You love the taste of it. Binging on chips or noodles while watching something. That's also a pleasure, honestly. I don't want to cut that out, but cannot happen daily. It has to be like an indulgence once in 2 weeks, etc. But on a daily basis, if you have less oily food, which is more baked or boiled, etc., I will tell you how. You feel lighter, you feel more fresher, and you feel more energized. Now, I'm not the best person to endorse this, but I'm from Assam, I'm from Northeast, and our cuisine is very different. So I am from Northeast, and I was here until I was 12 years old. Then I moved to Bombay, and I've been there since. I've been outside of Assam since. My dad had moved there, but they've come back now. So the point is that our food is very different to what other people in mainland India cooks. So the kind of cuisine we have is always boiled. So if I don't know if you're non-vegetarian, but generally in India, when people cook meat, they put a lot of oil, they put a lot of masalas, everything. But here, whereas at home, be Assam, be Meghalaya, be Arunachal, everywhere, people have this very delicious stew curry. It is different names in different northeastern regions, but they only boil the meat, they only put ginger, garlic, they only put green chilies, and they boil it in different temperatures, and they put their organic whatever vegetables, and it's the most delicious thing I've ever had. So what I'm trying to say is that what I preach and I practice is that you make food habits which are tasty yet healthy. So small ways to get there is one, I will endorse northeastern recipes for non-vegetarians. It's healthy, it's tasty. Second, the things that you munch on could be replaced by things that are healthier. So if you're munching on chips, you'd rather munch on peanuts. There are very tasty makhanas nowadays, peri peri makhana and pani puri makhana and baked khakras. So I feel like we need to get to alternatives to have a healthy habit of eating. So that's what I tell myself. The second thing that I tell myself, which might be a bit too preachy, is to get to 10,000 steps a day. Sometimes I don't even get to 100 steps a day, to be honest. But walking in the middle of work day is something that people need to build. And yes, to yeah.
I mean, I have a very funny experience on this word stress. So long time back in my career, I mean, I was in Kenya, and there I had a colleague from Egypt, and when I first met him, he was of normal size and stature, and then after that phase, I met him after 6 months, and I couldn't believe my eyes because he had grown 2 times or 3 times fat. And then I asked, what is the reason for you to be so fat in just this 6 months time? Then he used a word called Rakesh stress. So he was doing stress eating so much at work. So only pizzas and the diet coke. Okay. Yeah. The combination was so dangerous that he grew by like at least 2-3 times bigger than what I actually saw him. And then one word he used was stress. So that was
Eating, him stress eating.
yeah, that
Or
is stress eating. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So
Hmm. You
what
know what people
advice?
sorry, I was going to
Yeah.
say, you know what people eat during stress so much? Because nothing else is giving them that happy hormone, that secretion of instantly giving you that.
Okay.
That's why. So if you can seek every time I eat more, no, like I'm eating when I'm not hungry and I'm eating some 7 times a day, I stop and ask myself, am I unhappy where I am? Is that what my body's trying to tell me? That you're not getting happiness from anywhere, only food. Is that what it is? So it's to be self-aware and to not be in denial. So then I step back and I try to, spend more time with my friends, my partner, call my parents, do something else that makes me happy because only food can't give me happiness. And that's a signal. If I'm eating more, it means that I'm not getting happiness from anywhere else. And that's a question that we need to ask every day.
So what advice do you have for people who feel guilty about taking time for self-care?
Uh, okay, good question. Self care can be so many different types, honestly. One, there are so many people, they do different kinds of self care. I will not talk about myself only because I don't fall into the generic, conventional type of taking self care. One is emotional self care, one is say physical skincare, self care. The skincare comes in between. So I'll talk about the emotional self care. I do a lot of emotional self care to myself. It means I have a few set of very good friends. I'm a single child, and I have some 4-5 great friends, and they were my roommates back in college, and they've turned into my siblings. But I don't take the relationship for granted at all. So I invest in each of them a lot to know how they are doing, what they are doing, how can I be of help to them in whatever phase in their life they are at. Even though we stay not in the same geographical location, I try to make sure that we're connected on a day-to-day level, that any problem they face or I face on a day-to-day basis, they're a part of that. So that's one. That's one kind of self-care I allow myself to do. So even though I'm a workaholic, I categorize time particularly a way to, build daily on the relationships that I've nurtured. So that's one emotional self-care I do a lot because that's my wealth. So I tell myself that that's particularly okay because if that doesn't happen, that self-care doesn't happen, whatever I do in life, it not have its masala. It will not be what it's supposed to be. So a lot of my friends, my mother especially, she does a lot of physical self-care. I think some 2 hours of her life, she will only put in her skin, her body, what she's eating physically. And I've seen her do it guilt-free because I think she lives for that only. Because if that is not happening, your other parts of life don't have that quality. So this is important to get that running. So I think that's what people do, and I think self-care is very necessary, whatever self-care you want.
Okay. So on overcoming the burnout, so what are the first steps someone should take if they realize they are experiencing burnout? Because we spoke about exercising, but going to gym and doing exercise is a long process, right? But what are the first steps which can be done like instantly when you want to do overcome burnout?
But the instant step would be, okay, let me think on that. Instantly. So if instantly, okay. If you feel that you first acknowledge that you're burnt out. So what can you instantly do is take a few days off and figure out what next. It's okay to take a few days off and if the organization is not even giving you few days off, then you really have your answer that you have to quit, because there's no organization who does not give a few days off sick leaves. Nowadays, organizations have also started to acknowledge mental wellness day, etc. So you call in sick for a few days because you are sick mentally, and figure out what to do next. Ask yourself that vital question. Get proper sleep. 8-9 hours of sleep does wonders. You ask me what can you do quickly. I think sometimes we have so many options out there in front of us, this and that, we forget the basic ones. Good warm meal, properly, not rushing into it, and sleeping for 8 to 9 hours at night. I think instantly if you do that without having to go to work the next day, you instantly feel, okay, I have some time to think and breathe. So 2-3 days off you should definitely take. Reconsider what can you do. Can you quit right now? Do you have the kind of savings? Or do you want to continue this? Give in your 50%, don't give 100%. Work smart and look for another organization, because another organization is always there waiting for the kind of person you are. There are brilliant organizations who has very good culture. And now I like to say something from my personal experience. Through Kabul, I have met so many clients, mid-level professionals, who have all asked me one thing. Tanuja, tell us an organization which has a good culture. So employees are not willing to put themselves out there for a toxic cultural workplace. So I feel like you always have to look for an organization which gives you the space and time to breathe and understands you. So I feel like the immediate thing to do, which I would have done, is to take some space, eat well, sleep well, and think about my next exit options. Yeah.
Okay, so these are kind of some small steps or manageable changes people can bring in to begin recovery.
Yes.
So for those who can't afford to take time off work or responsibilities, what are some realistic ways to address burnout?
I think immediately you could talk to your superiors. That would be one thing. The thing is that if you're so burnt out and you don't have time to take time off, you'll not be productive. You'll not be able to do work. So you will be thrown out anyway. So nobody's going to keep you. So there's two options, okay? You're burnt out and you cannot take time off. So you continue working. Your productivity will be 30%. So if the organization is so harsh that they're not even giving you time to take time off, they will throw you out in an instance. That's what will happen to you. And if they have some kind of decency, they will give you some time off to think ahead. And I would say talking to your superiors, not just one superior. Talking to superiors about how you're feeling and what next steps you want. Don't leave it open-ended. Okay, now so what to do? Have a clear plan of action that I want a sabbatical, or I want to come back, or I want to decrease my load till 3 months until I'm better. So I want to do this better. You also think from the organization's perspective that, okay, I want to do this much better. I come back in 3 months. So have an exit plan strategy from that current burnout space. And tell your superiors, esa is what I want to do. The moment you go with a plan, leaders like it, because leaders don't have time to think on a customized basis what you should do. When you have a plan for yourself, which is colliding with the intersectioning with organization's point of view as well, they like it.
Okay, so are there any therapies or counseling help? And how should someone go about finding the right professional for their needs?
That's hard, I would say, honestly. There are multiple organizations like Rocket Health and Mind Peers who have a repository of therapists inside them and in their database, but you will have to choose them. So I heavily talk about this, how knowing which therapist is best for you should be another service, because one size fits all approach doesn't happen in therapy. So, but for now, all I can tell you is that when you go to these organizations, it could be Mind Peers, or it could be Rocket Health, and there are multiple such organizations which has many therapists under their database. So you see what that therapist has done in the past. They would have written under them.
Okay.
Try to take a free session, a bonus free session from them, first free session. See if they're able to understand you, yeah. But try so hard, but I get it. Yeah.
What role does a supportive community or network play in overcoming burnout?
I think a supportive community is the most important element in overcoming burnout, because when we stay together with people, they tend to take away our stressors, they tend to take away something that looks so huge to us. So for example, if I am looking into something and I have a problem with my boss or at my organization, so I will be looking at it from a single point of view. But when I get together with a set of friends and they say, okay, no, it's fine, this happens or that happens, or I can relate to somebody else. Okay, the other person is also feeling the same way. The other person also has happened, same thing has happened with his manager, with his boss. So it tends to take away or make it lighter, tends to take away stress lighter, hence the burnout. It helps with the burnout, for sure.
So breaking the stigma around mental health, why do you think there is still stigma around discussing mental health, and how can we combat it?
Right. So I will be wanting to tell you about two things here. When you talk about stigma, there's a stigma, especially in the tier 2 cities. There is currently no stigma in the metro cities as such. In the metro cities, it is going on the other end of the spectrum, where everybody wants to go see a therapist. Everybody's Gen Z or pop culture languages, anxiety or depression or panic attacks. These are words that our parents don't use so commonly. So what I would want to say is that these words are already existing. I've mentioned before also, ghabrahat hona or acha nahi lagna. These are words that they would always use. It wasn't there as such. So I would say that, okay, in metro cities, there is no stigma as such, because, you are living a very alone life, like a very only 2-3 people community life. So people who know you won't judge you. Versus in a tier 2 city, what happens is that there is a big community of people who know of each other, but they don't know them well. So when you have a certain system like that, when you have a lot of people that they know of you, the judgment is more. So
Okay.
the communities are huge, but they don't know each other really well, which is why there's a space of judgment so much, and which is why there's a taboo on mental health. That's right.
Okay. So what advice would you give to someone who's hesitant to seek help because of societal judgment or misconception?
Repeat your question, please.
Yes. What advice would you give to someone who's hesitant to seek help because of societal judgment or misconceptions?
First, I would like to tell that person, telling this, that okay, don't pay heed to society, etc., is a big thing to say. I wouldn't do that. I would first say that take care of yourself. Go and seek therapy. Go and seek therapy by all these organizations and startups that has come out now. Do it in secret. Do it in your private space. Take care of yourself. And if you feel that something helped, you can probably propagate it with your friends or your loved ones. But you don't have to tell the world, or you don't have to tell anybody for that matter that you're seeking help. The best part about mental health is that it can be private, and people agree to that and acknowledge that. So I would say that think deeply, take a confidential session, and yes, that's what I would say.
So apart from individuality, stepping into corporate world, how can workplaces foster environment that support mental health and prevent burnout?
Mental health can be supported by organizations in two ways, I think. One is a very culture driven way. Culture driven way could be when an organization and its founders and its leadership believes in the concept of work life balance, in the concept of boundaries with employees. That's where there's a culture specific focus on organizations. If that is not there and you still give a mental wellness day, it won't translate to real mental health wealth, actually.
Okay.
So that is one way. The second way would be to have systemic approaches. So having mental wellness day off, or having, say, off days for women for periods, because before and after periods there's a mental health mood surge that happens, correct? And I think focusing on team building activities, not on the periphery front, but genuinely as people coming together who have worked with each other for so long, so genuinely inculcating bonds between them. I think that's how mental health can be propagated.
Okay. So moving on towards our closing questions. If listeners could take away one message about mental health from this episode, what would you want it to be?
All right. Mental health is a big concept, and I particularly delve into the career aspect of mental health. So if your career is not set, you don't feel that you are satisfied, you get work-life balance, you're doing what you want to do out there, whatever you want is not what is getting translated in the real professional world, so your mental health takes a hit. So I talk about and I work thoroughly with the career aspect of mental health, and I would heavily suggest that be it students or be it employees, be it mid-level professionals, they should choose careers which are akin to your personality. So for example, if you were a student and you feel like you are great at maths, you're great at physical things, go ahead and take science. But you think that it's a burden on you, do not do that. Somebody who has taken up arts would do much better than you who genuinely like that subject. Similarly, for people who are in the mid-level professional journey, if you know you're an individual contributor, do not go for that team building role as yet. Introspect, learn more on the job, and then do what is akin to your personality. So what I'm trying to say is that your career will be very intrinsically woven to the kind of personality you are. Know it, understand it, and then build a career accordingly. You will be happier in your professional journey, and it will help your mental health as well.
Okay. What's one simple action someone could take today to start improving their mental health?
One simple action could be journaling or telling a friend or whoever you feel comfortable about your current true feelings. So how you're feeling on an everyday basis about your everyday life, or about the big questions that you have about life. That helps me get through things. When I talk to my partner or talk to my best of friends about how I'm feeling, and I talk out loud to, say my dad, how I'm feeling, I feel lightheaded. I feel clear. So somebody who don't want to talk and journal about their feelings can talk to their friends, but be real about how you're feeling, and that's the starting point in you feeling better.
Are there any resources, books, or tools you would recommend for listeners who want to learn more about managing stress and burnout?
Rishabh said that I don't have an answer to that question.
Okay. Yeah, I will skip this question then. So where can viewers connect with you or find more information about today's topic?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. I write on LinkedIn a lot. I will be available on LinkedIn.
Okay. And anyways, we can reach out to the portal which you are referring, Kabil.
Yes, you can reach out to kavilpro.com. Kavil is a startup that I'm building, which helps students and mid-level professionals choose their careers which are akin to their own personalities. And it's a mix of career guidance and mental health well-being. So yes, learners can connect me there.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, Tanuja. It was
Thank
nice
you.
talking to you.
Thank you so much, Rakesh. Have a good day.
So here are some interactive questions for our viewers. So what's one thing you have done recently that helped you reduce stress or feel more balanced? Have you ever experienced burnout? What helped you recover? What's your goal to self-care activity and why does it work for you? If you could give us past self one piece of advice about managing stress, what would it be? Thank you.